guys, it's the Adventures of Arlo here, and we're back here with another YouTube video. In today's video, we are going to be doing a book discussion video, and over on my podcast, I am going to be releasing finally a new episode talking about revision tips, as I am in the middle of my books currently and I should be revising. Anyway, if you are a book lover and a bookworm, definitely this is one of my videos for you. I also did a book review of It Ends With Us recently. I don't know if that's actually the last video I posted or not, but it's one of those videos that I posted very recently. So go check that out if you want to. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Like this video, comment on this video about what you liked about it, what you want to see, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another wacky video of mine. But without further ado, let's get talking. Before we start, I just want to give a little shout out to my bestie, Gabby. She helped me because she's an amazing photographer, and so she helped me with setup. Though she's not here, like she helped me move my setting so I look more inviting. So if you wonder why my setting is so amazing, just think of how amazing Gabby is. Anyway, that was my little bestie appreciation. Note of warning, I will cough, but I'll probably try my best to edit that out. It looks like I'm crying or sleep deprived. I have an eye infection, so be aware. And also, background noise is going to be expected because look what this chair does. Squeaks, squeaks, squeaks. So if I move the slightest bit, it will squeak. Also, other side effects, I'm very clumsy. Side effects. I'm kind of a spitball personality kind of person. So it will be very mixed in how energetic I am or how slumped down and still I am. So bear with Arlo because Arlo is anyway. I would say that this video has sections of me answering what I had been prompted to answer and answering things that have nothing to do with no one. And we get into side rants and we get into side notes, but overall I'll try my best to be as good for the camera as possible. Now this is warning, if you don't like long form content, this is not the video for you. Generally I don't post that much, so my content is probably a lot longer than just 26 minutes. I do apologize for people that dislike long form content. And I will try to make some videos short form. As I said, please do let me know about what you want to see from my channel in the future. And also, everything that I talk about today will be linked as well as my socials, so just to let you know. Anyway, the questions and ideas and topics to talk about are actually from Booktok and from someone on Booktok called @JillReadsBooks. I will put the here. I will also put the in my description box, and you can follow her on TikTok if you have it. So yeah, all of these prompts are ideas from some Booktok filters that she made, and I know this is Booktube, but Booktok and Booktube need to get married or something because I need to talk. Anyway, without further ado, we'll get into it now, and I'll try not to ramble because I have tried to film this once and it's been quite chaotic, so I don't know what to say. Am I trying to read more books that are that have been adapted into TV or film? Truth be told, I'm not actually trying to actively read anything that isn't my genre. But however, I have read books such as Daisy Jones and the Six that have been adapted into a TV show, and I have watched that. So maybe when I look at things and I notice that they have been adapted into a film and I want to read the book, then I'll read the book and also watch the adjacent media. But I don't actively search for books that have been adapted. But it's fun sometimes to find out. What is my favourite book character? Now, I'd say my favourite book character is probably from the Alice Osman universe of Heartstopper. I really like Aled. He is so amazing, and in Radio Silence, it's my favourite book from Alice Osman. Osman or whatever, and he's just so amazing. I just really love his character and how in Heartstopper, the actual book, he is there, but in the show he's not. I'm very excited about the show. But yeah, we find out a lot about him in this book. Some surprising things, to be honest with you. And yeah, I just really like him as a character. I'm not one of those people that likes crazy psychopaths that kill loads of people. But I do like some. Sometimes I do like some villains. You don't know. My favorite author. Now the actual topic was favorite author, but I'm gonna say favorite authors because I have 4. Number 1. These are not in order. Taylor Jenkins Reid. I am in my Taylor Jenkins Reid phase, even though I'm currently reading a Colin Hoover book. I have been reading non-stop Taylor Jenkins Reid from last 2 months of last year and all basically this year. So yeah. I only have 1 more book to buy, and then I would have all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's current book collection. Haven't read Forever Interrupted, and I just bought that today. And I haven't read Carrie Soto's Back because I'm reluctant to. But other than maybe in Another Life, I am so close, and that she's one of my favourite authors, hands down. Second up is Colleen Hoover. Now, Colleen Hoover is controversial, but a lot of people actually do like her, and I'm one of those people. So there you go. Other authors are Alice Oatsman, really, let's be honest. Bow down to her. And her writing. I've read every single one of her novels and novellas and Heartstopper. So, love her. Then Casey McQuiston. I've only read 2 of her books, but I don't believe she has that many books. I've read Red, White and Royal Blue and One Last Stop. And I want to read I Kiss Sarah Wheeler, but she is still one of those people that her writing is just inspiring. So, the books forms that I read are physical and physical and physical. I don't read ebooks. I don't read on a Kindle, though it might be like more efficient to, but in general I love physical books and I love the idea of owning physical books. And yeah, so you can call me a book dragon or whatever, but I like books, being able to read the books. I like all the things that you can do with reading books. You can like have that feeling. You can physically react to the book. You can tap it like this. You can hit your head against it. I'm sure many people do that. You can smell the new book smell and the pages, and you can flick through just to see, get some air, you know, in the summer. And you can, there is a lot of things you can do with a tangible book. Though I understand the appeal of ebooks, it's cheaper and it's more accessible to be able to read on public transport and like trains, planes. But I really like physical books, and I know many people do, and many people are people that don't mind either. But I have never felt the need to read an ebook, even when I had a Kindle that was really a Kindle Fire. In 2016, I just like the idea of holding a book, even if it means cracking the spine. It's fun to obsess over the little things. My favourite type of book content video to make are probably book reviews or book hauls, because I feel like being able to discuss books is so fun, and some people hate it, but I love it. And I love the excitement of like kind of like mentally pre-reviewing the books that you have bought, because when you buy a book, you are instantly reviewing it. You're reviewing its cover sometimes, you're reviewing its title and its blurb, and when you read it, when you get to share your new joy with the world like it's a baby, it's such a great moment for living, to be alive. So yeah, those are my 2 favourite. The last book that I did not finish was The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and that is the only book I have ever not finished. Now, this is not because I did not like it. No. I was a young'un and I did not understand the text. Now looking at it, the text isn't that big, but compared to many other books, the text is quite small. And a lot of the words are sophisticated for me, so I just didn't have the mental brain capacity. But this book is interesting, and once I get over my Colleen Hoover and Taylor Jenkins Reid phase, I will be rereading this from the start. I got 136 pages in, so well done me. but I forget too much about it that I kind of need to reread it, having a different frame of mind, I guess. Yeah, as I haven't paid attention to in this book, but I need to read it. There's a prologue. Okay. So yeah, this is not recommended for young people. Actually, my English teacher brought this up in English class, when I was in year 8, so I was like 13. It's not meant for 13-year-olds. I don't even think it's meant for my age group. It is a haunting novel, and this was actually published in 1992, which I did not know. I only just recently discovered that on my last try of this video. This was released in 1992, so this is nowhere new, and I feel like people didn't really know about it in 1992 maybe. But I need to reread it, because if I just start from here, I'm sure I'll pick it up eventually, but I just want the joy of reading it again, because I've probably got a lot. But yeah, that's the only book that I have not finished ever, but I have put the bookmark in it to make sure I do read it, so it's not like I didn't like it or anything. If I was stranded on an island and I could only take or only would have 3 books, it would be The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Such a masterpiece. Then I would probably have Heartstopper, because we all need different types of books. But specifically Heartstopper 4, the best one. But some say the first one is the best one, but let's be honest. How can you not like this? And then the last book that I'd love to be stranded on an island with is probably Red, White and Royal Blue. Because who doesn't like a good old Red, White and Royal Blue? I do have the normal version of Red, White and Royal Blue, but I wanted to bring this one. So probably, technically just read it is a must. I probably, if I wasn't like thinking about this, I probably would have a Colleen Hoover book as well. But beggars can't be choosers, so I'm begging to survive, and I have these 3 books with me. I'll be fine. But yeah, got to love those 3 books, and I wouldn't complain being stuck on an island with them. I do most of my reading at night time in bed, because it's the most ideal time, the least distractions, but I also read on commute and when I'm travelling, just naturally. Sometimes I don't though on buses, because they're usually very quick travel. So yeah, that I do most of my reading at night time. My last 5-star read was my last read, which was Verity. This was such a haunting thriller, but I really enjoyed the plot twists, and it was one of those novels from Colleen Hoover that is really haunting and not like some of the bubbly and confusing love stories that she has before. So it's heartbreaking in a thrilling way. Then the book that has been on my TBR the longest is Shatter Me. I've had this on my TBR for like 3 years, I'd say. But yeah, I feel like it's gonna be right up my alley. I have it though, and I have Unravel Me. I don't have the rest of them. I just need to get around to reading it. It's been on my TBR for a long time, and I will get around to reading it, but I haven't yet. So you know, it's just how it goes. My favourite tropes and plot devices are friends to lovers, specifically childhood friends to lovers. It scratches an itch. Enemies to lovers as well, and I quite like fake dating and academic rivals. That's really a highlight for me. Plot devices, I like when a book and many books are connected in a universe. I also like plot twists. To a certain extent, I like plot twists. The last book I purchased, which I actually purchased today, was Forever Interrupted from Kelly Jenkins Reid. I saw it in the works only for £5. How cheap the works is beloved to me. But yes, Forever Interrupted was the last book that I purchased. on my list for book. The favourite book that I had to read at school was The Lord of the Flies or The Outsiders, because all the other books that we had to read at school are plays. And even the one we're reading now is a play. Can't we have novels? But yes, Lord of the Flies, really enjoyable book, really, to be fair. The book that I may never read, that is on my TBR, is probably, I don't really have a book that I probably never read. But if we're being honest, I probably will never read Shatter Me, because I'll keep buying books and books and books, and they will get further away on my TBR. But I will read this eventually, but I may never read it, so we'll never know, I guess. So the longest slump that I've been in is a month, to be honest with you, and yeah. You know, I don't count the period of time between a child and teenagers that I haven't read. But yeah, a month is pretty like general for the amount of time that I have amount of time that I've read. But yeah, slumps are very common to get into, and so I'm not ashamed of it. How many IRL in real life book friends do I have? 4 or 5. I used to have more, but then they left me, and I'm all depressed. No, okay. That's fine, honestly. I have one like best friend that is a book reader for sure, and we're bookworms together. Then there are a few people in the same friendship group as this person who are also bookworms, and I'm letting them borrow books from. The other person is one of my like childhood besties. She reads, I read, we get along nicely. So yeah, basically, least favourite read this year was I Fell in Love with Hope from Lankali. The only reason it was my least favourite is because I read so many good ones, and this is depressing and funny and happy, but depressing, like hospital, dying of disease depressing. And yeah, it's a book where I swapped with my friends, and honestly, my friends thought it was good because it's gay, and also because the cover of this book is the same as my phone case. The skeletons, and it's kind of about love. And this has different meaning from the one on my phone case. But anyway, the thing that annoyed me about this book was how depressing it was, and how it didn't get any better. It only got worse. But I must admit, it was good writing, very poetic writing. However, this book was really expensive and really bad quality. This book was wrapped in like brown paper to be a surprise, to be a mystery, so I could read it. But even though it's one of those covers where you think it's supposed to be good, it has a pop, it got ripped here, and there are stains on the front. However, we can't all get perfect book covers, but I really didn't expect it to be so bad. Also, the fact is that every like chapter had to get crossed out. Obviously you can see through some of them because they are markers and not pens. The only thing I would say is that this is ridiculous. It is no longer in stock. This cover is no longer in stock, and it was like £15 for my friend to buy for me, and when I saw it, it was £29. However, we're in luck. I'm in luck because on June 20th, 2023, this year, they are going to release a new cover, which sadly takes away this, but it's a new cover, and it can be available on Kindle and on paperback for only $9.99, so it's a normal price. It will still only be published through Amazon, which is really, really unfair in my opinion, but it's fine, and once the new paperback comes, I will buy it, and I won't be so upset at this book. But I put it on the bookshelf like this, so no one can see the other two sides, and I don't think I'll be taking it out anytime soon. But honestly, it's a shame because I wish I didn't ruin the cover, because my OCD really hates that. My favourite genres, romance and fantasy. I don't really branch out my comfort zone that much, and those are my two favourites. So to be honest with you, yeah, that's all I can say about my favourite genres. I'm currently reading Confess by Colleen Hoover, which I must say I haven't got that far into at all, but I'm not into the groove of the book yet. The one thing I do like about this book is I do not mind the cover at all, but I have a feeling that Confess in the US looks a lot better. One thing I'm really excited about, and I don't know if this is in any other copy, is that in the middle they have like paintings from the gallery, obviously. And I haven't got that far yet, but I think it's really cool that they have like a little art gallery in the book. So that's the book I'm currently reading, and I wanted to take a chance to note out this lovely book stack, customizable book stack that I got from Gigi and Boo. That's their logo. Maybe flipped, I don't know. They're an American small business that I found on Instagram and ordered through on Etsy. Now this is a bookmark that is basically the cheapest one because it's just cardstock, it's not laminated, and it doesn't have a tassel. However, if you invest a bit more money than I did, but I couldn't invest so much because of shipping, you can get it laminated with large cardstock and a tassel, and it'll be really, really cute. But I just have the cardstock and it still works just fine. It's so beautiful. It has rainbow, pastel rainbow, and it's all my favourite books. Red, White, Royal Blue, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, One Last Stop, Heartstopper, Daisy Jones and the Six, It Starts With Us, It Ends With Us, Ugly Love, November 9th, Radio Silence, Harry Potter, Cinderella's Dead. These are books that you hear me mention a lot. Obviously now I probably have different opinions on some of the books, but however, also just let you know, progress update, I'm on page 11 and I finally got to the body of the chapter. Also, I got this amazing embroidered Daisy books pouch, which I use for all my paperback books that can fit in here. It's so beautiful, and I'm really happy to have this because it really protects my books. I used to carry my books in like a wallet, like a plastic wallet where you keep food, like a food Ziploc bag. But now I have this, and it's really cute, and I feel proper. I feel fun. Okay. Guys, I have just got a notification from Be Real. So, will you do me the honours in being in my Be Real? I think you will. This will be This will be part of it. This will be part of it. So, hi guys, I'm doing my Be Real right now. So let me do the iconic heart pose, but I'll do it here first. Let me hold this. You're seeing the behind the scenes of something that I shouldn't be doing, but I need to do it. But maybe I should put a book instead. Okay, don't move, guys. There we go. You guys are not in my Be Real, but I am. I'm in my Be Real, so. It was Be Real time, and we need to prioritize. But thank you for allowing me to do my Be Real. You didn't really have a say. You could have skipped. Not my fault. The book I have reread the most is Harry Potter, because other than Harry Potter, I have never reread a book. There may come a time where I feel the need to reread a book, just like I feel the need to rewatch a musical. But I have only ever reread Harry Potter. But when I did, I reread it so much. My favourite read this year is probably Malibu Rising. If I had read Daisy Jones and the Six or Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo this year, it would have been my favourite. But Malibu Rising, also One True Loves and After I Do, really like amazing books for me. But Malibu Rising was just really fun. And also I did really enjoy It Starts With Us, I must say. And they weren't 5-star reads, but they were my favourite reads, if that makes sense. A book that made me cry. Basically, every book I own made me cry, even when nothing really remotely sad happened. But if I was going to talk about that is actually sad and will make you cry, we've got 2 books from Colleen Hoover here. Also, It Ends With Us will make you cry. It's said in the title that it's heartbreaking, so it will make you cry. But All Your Perfects, it's a really deceiving cover because stories about marriages falling apart are depressing. When they bring childbirth and miscarriage into it, it's depressing. This was surprisingly depressing. I had just finished reading I Fell in Love with Hope. I wanted to read Colin Hoover. I had the option in my mind of Verity or All Your Perfects. And I read All Your Perfects because the title. But this will make you cry because it's such like a true and like it's something that could happen. It's no like crazy like thing like Verity. This will make you cry if you read it, but ultimately it's a happy ending, and they do also talk about then and now, so you get some happiness in then. So yeah, that's a book that made me cry. A genre that I rarely ever read, I don't know if this counts as a genre, but non-fiction. I don't read non-fiction or like memoirs. I just don't feel the appeal really. I like escaping to fiction, and a lot of non-fiction talk about very important topics, right? That I just can't get behind. I need to read fiction and romance and biographies and stuff like that. Just don't really spark that. Also, I don't really like dystopian novels. But there are exceptions. But like, yeah, I just don't really like dystopian. I like romance and fantasy. Also by authors are my favourite authors, even though Casey McQuiston, I'm pretty sure, will never release another book, and if she does, I will seize the day. Colleen Hoover, I don't yet have all of her books, so I'm always looking in the store for the books I don't have. There are a lot of books that I don't have, that I don't know that I don't have. For example, in Colleen Hoover context, I don't have the Slammed series. I don't have Slam Point of Retreat or something to do with her. I don't know. I don't have the rest of the Hopeless series that I didn't think was a series, but apparently it is. I'm not really into series, if you can tell. So I haven't got Losing Hope or Finding Perfect, but then also there's Finding Cinderella, which is another novella, as well as Finding Perfect, and I feel like those might be connected. So I need to get those. Then I have one of the Maybe series. I don't know if I have Maybe Now or Maybe Never, or maybe someday. So those are the three that I need to get, and then I want to get Never Never. It's a book collab with Taryn Fisher, and I have actually never read a book written by two people. It's confusing, but I'll get along with it, and I want to read that. I always look for Taylor Jenkins Reid, even when I know she hasn't released anything. But I haven't yet got Maybe in Another Life, and I need to get Maybe in Another Life. So that's the only book I have left to buy. Then I'll only have to read Forever Interrupted, which I got today, and Carrie Soto's Back, and then I would have read all of her books, and I really hope that she does make more books. To be honest with you, I don't know much about that. Status quo. Then we have Alice Osman. Even though I have all of her books, I couldn't resist buying Loveless in Italian. It was a hardback book. It was amazing and looked so cool in Italian. And maybe I'll use that to learn Italian. Obviously we know that she's making Heartstopper 5, but she might release more novels, we don't know. So those are the ones that I look for, and I just want to look for more authors generally. My favourite reading spot is my bed or a soft area. I'd love to be able to just go down into my living room and read, but generally I can't really do that. My favourite spot to read is my bedroom, also my comfortable, or a chair. I do read on the bus, so you could say that, but like honestly, my favourite series is probably, like actual series, is like Percy Jackson or Harry Potter, but like the It Ends With Us series is quite interesting, and I don't really read series that much, but that was a good 2-book series, you know. I'm sure if I read Shatter Me, that would be a favourite series of mine. Honestly, I kind of stray towards standalone books, but I like it when books connect, so we'll just see how that goes. Book that I really dislike. That's hard. I don't really dislike a lot of books. However, I did really dislike I Fell in Love with Hope. We're bringing this book back again. It was a good plot. There were good likable characters. I disliked the tone always being wrong. It ended sad. It ended with no hope. I fell in love with despair, is what this should have been called, even though I understand why it's called that. I just disliked it because I just don't like it, to be honest with you. I don't really know how to explain it. But if you have read it, let me know. Let me know your opinion. There are probably other books in there that I dislike. I do dislike some books that I have there, like All the Places I've Cried in Public. I couldn't read that. I just couldn't. It just wasn't that enjoyable. Booktok made me read it. Basically, all of my books, Booktok made me read it, but more than my friends made me read it. But to be fair, if we're gonna talk about, right, so Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I bought this before it was popular. However, I bought it because I saw someone reviewing it a couple of years ago. When was this even published? Learning about a lot of facts when this was published. This was published in 2017. So I got this a few years ago. Before it became as viral and well known as it is, I believe. But anyway, yeah. Booktok made me buy a lot of books. My favourite book at the moment, trying to go over all my favourite books, I cannot pick one. But my favourite books are Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, All Your Perfects, Malibu Rising, and It Starts With Us. I can only stress to you enough how I cannot pick one. My favourite childhood series would have to be Harry Potter, because I didn't really read a lot as a child, but Harry Potter was one of those books I couldn't get enough of as a child. I guess it's not a childhood book series, but it's kind of like a 7 to 12-year-old book series, and that was when I really started reading. So I also read Dog Diaries as a kid. Right, I don't like it now, but I liked it as a kid. So if I was only able to recommend you one book, I would recommend you Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, especially if you're LGBTQ or a woman. I just think it's really great. I think it has everything it needs, and it's not too heart-wrenching, but it's also, to a certain extent, sad. And it has some interesting plots in it, so honestly, I'd recommend you that 100%. I joined Booktok because I needed people to, like, agree with. I needed people to debate with, and Booktok is, like, online there, and I kind of trickled into it gradually, but I'm so glad I'm in it, because, yeah, it's good to, and I'm also in Bookstagram and Booktube, of course. So yeah, it's really good to have a community of readers with you. My non-book related hobby is art and musical theatre, and those are two things. They are the holy triangle of my life, trinity of my life, but I'm doing a triangle, the hierarchy of my life. Books, art, and music in general, including musical theatre. So yeah, we have actually finished one whole sheet, and I haven't made one mistake yet. So pray for the heavens. What is a controversial book opinion I have? It Ends With Us and Colleen Hoover aren't, like, as bad as people make them out to be. Like, honestly, it's not that bad. Some people don't like her because of her writing style, genuinely, but some people don't want to like her. So I guess my controversial book opinion is that Colleen Hoover is great. The last book I finished was Verity, and I would recommend it, but only with a slight warning. It's disturbing, actually disturbing. So if you want to read a disturbing book, great. If you're under the age of 13, please don't read this, please. Okay, thank you. But I definitely would recommend it to the right age. My least favourite trope is fake dating. Sometimes it can be, marriage of convenience or accidental pregnancy, because marriage of convenience is such, like, a niche thing, and sometimes you just can't get a lot of out of it. But there's a lot of stories have marriage inconvenience, and they're okay. And accidental pregnancy, it's just you kind of like skip love. You've kind of made something, a plot that almost indefinitely doesn't include love. And I don't really like that. Do I care about the style of a page? The answer to that is yes, I do. And if you don't know what the style is, it's basically like if you open the page, the font, the colour, the size of the text, and the colour of the text, I guess, sometimes varies. I will tell you, I really, really, really care. I like it, I prefer it, I really need the books to have this kind of off-white, beigey, yellowy colour, other than white, but I won't oppose to books having white in it, because sometimes I paint books with white. But this is like the proper colour. I really like the default book font that's all like fancy like this, but font isn't the biggest factor for me. I judge a style on the page on how big the letters are, on how much likely I'm to read it. I look at the title and then I look at the first pages, and I'm like, if the writing is bigger than this, then I don't want it. If it's like slightly bigger and if it's like hardback, I understand. But if it's a paperback and the words are really large, I will only assume that it's too easy of a book to read, and I will instantly be turned away from it. But I do care about the style of the page mostly. Relationship with rereading. I don't reread a lot, other than that time that I reread Harry Potter. Other than that, I don't reread. I think maybe once I finish my TBR, which will never happen, maybe at some point I will reread. But right now I don't reread. I'm not opposed to it, I just don't do it. If I was forced to pick a favourite book, I would probably pick Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo or Malibu Rising. Right now. I don't know, like, overall, yeah, but like right now my mood is saying Taylor Jenkins Reid, so that's what you're going to tell. Maybe in a week it will be a different opinion. We can only assume that I will. Why do I read? I read to escape and to enjoy another world or like a distorted reality, and I like to read to like imagine. I like imagination, you know? Did I read a lot as a child? The answer to that is no, but technically I'm still kind of a child, so I don't know if that counts, but I'm a teenager. So, I didn't read as much as a child until my early teens. So there. And I do read a lot now. Am I in any book clubs? I wish I was in a book club. Over lockdown, I was in this like book club classroom, but I've never been in a book club, and I have never seen a book club to be included in. But I'd love to. I'd love to. How many books have you read this year? I've read about 9 or 10. I'm on my 10th book. And generally that's a lot more than I would have read, but bearing in mind it's the end of April and a lot of people read like 10 books a month. So maybe it's not that much, but for me it's progress because I'm quite a slow reader and I've been picking up the pace a bit. People would be surprised that I haven't read Shatter Me because it's such a booktok book and so many people wrote about the characters, and I think people would expect me to have read it, especially given my chosen genre, and I bought it and I would like it. I would love it. But I'm sure some people were surprised when I said I hadn't read it. My typical reading week is a school week, so it really fluctuates. If I'm not on a school week, I will probably read every day at night time, because I have that luxury. But if it's a school week, I'll probably I'll read my most on weekends, and I'll read some nights and sometimes on the bus, but mostly sometimes there are like times where I'm not motivated at all to read, I'm distracted. Do I have any signed or special editions of books? I do. I have 2 copies of special editions of Red, White, White, Blue. This was a new edition, but it's really cool. It's a special limited edition of Casey McQuiston's beloved best-selling novel. It features illustrated end papers, a brand new chapter from Henry's point of view, and more. Now this one has a red, pinkish, stained edge. The other one I have, because I have two, I bought the other one first. The other one has a blue one, so I didn't know they came in different variations, but this one my friend kindly bought for me at the Waterstones in Piccadilly. But yeah, it's signed by Casey McQuiston, and I really like. I bought a signed edition of a book for my friend, and I did get a book in the past signed when people from my primary school went to a book signing of some book that I don't care about. But the other one isn't signed, but it's in better condition. It's in a bit of better condition. I must say I'm really in love with the hardback, not the sleeve. But I will tolerate the sleeve, I guess. I love the end papers, and I really want to read. I need to reread this so I can read Henry's extra POV chapter. But this is so cool. It has so many references and everything. But that's my special edition. A book that you loved but people hated. I'm not a controversial reader, but I guess you could say I loved It Ends With Us, and a lot of people hated it. Other than that, I don't really think I'm that controversial of a reader anyway. A book that greatly influenced my life was probably one of these two. Radio Silence or Cinderella's Dead. Radio Silence, because I really relate to these characters. This book is an English book written by an English author, so it's really easy to relate to them, and they're kiddie teeny ages, and they're struggling with identity too. So it's really easy to influence your life if you have great relevance to your life. And yeah, a lot of Alice Osman's books, including Heartstopper, are like this. And yeah, some of the realities are a bit different, but yeah, this influenced my life a lot. Influenced my perspective on life. Now, this book influenced my life because I'm now realizing that this is the book that probably I read, and then I started getting more into books. This is also about LGBTQ, so it also influenced my life in that way, but really it influenced my perspective on reading, because I really enjoyed this book, and then I realized that, wait, I can read more. And so I think this influenced my life a lot. And it's a really good fantasy book. Definitely recommend. Cinderella's Dead by Kane Lim Barron. I think it's her debut. Now we're going to do a quick round of smash or pass. Smash or pass, long chapters. Let me know your opinion. Long chapters, smash. I have nothing against long chapters or short chapters. I will read both. But sometimes long chapters are really satisfying because they bring you closer to the end of something that you want to be resolved. And sometimes they're really interesting, and the fact that they're long doesn't really matter because you're just so entranced with the story. But also smash short chapters. Smash or pass, love at first sight. I smash, but sometimes love at first sight can be deceitful, and so it's a bit of a mixed relationship, but overall I won't pass on it because I do love a good love. Enemies to lovers, smash. Everyone loves enemies to lovers, and people who don't, I feel sorry for them. Writing book reviews, smash. That was the end of the smash or pass. I love writing book reviews. I love sharing my opinion. So, What is a classic novel that you'd like to read? I'd like to read the rest of Jane Austen. I have read Pride and Prejudice, but I want to read Emma, etc. So, yeah, What is a book that you were nervous to read? I'm nervous to read Carrie Soto's Back because I'm scared I won't like it, and I can't not like it. I need to like all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's book, and because it's about tennis, I'm a bit on the edge about it, but I know that I will read it eventually. A book I want to unread. I want to unread I Fell in Love with Hope because I just don't want to be as depressed as I was after reading it. That's bad, but if I want to unread Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and reread it again and be in love with it all over again. That'd be great. A book that I can think with a healthy relationship, this is the only healthy relationship-ish, is Emma and Sam in One True Loves. Now their relationship is healthy in the fact that it was never toxic and they ended up together. So that's a healthy relationship. Obviously they broke up because of Jesse, but like overall it was a healthy relationship. Nothing toxic, no serial killers or assaulters. An overrated book, in my opinion, in my honest opinion, would have to be I hear a lot of people talking about the soulmate equation. A soulmate equation. I read it and personally it just didn't give me the hype, but I think a lot of people like it. So I think that's the only overrated book I can think of. Of a genre that I wish I liked more is non-fiction, because I just wish that I could read it more and I wish that I was appealed to it more, you know? Percentage of my own books that I have read, probably about 40%, because I know that more than half of my books I haven't read and I keep growing my book collection, but I'm getting there, so I'd say 40%. It's not that bad. It's not like I've only read 5% of my books. That's an estimate though, so don't challenge me about maths. I have no idea. What is my rating system? Well, I rate in stars and I have half stars as well. I group 1 and 2 as 1 star technically, but I will give books 2 stars in an ideal world, because I've never given a book 1 star or 2 star. If it's just like there's some aspect of it that I liked more and it wasn't just a big atrocious thing, a big atrocious chaos. 3 stars is mid. 3 stars is mid. Yeah, there is no half star for 1 and 2 because I don't think that they deserve half star. So it goes like 3, 3.5, 4, 4.55. So 3 is like mid. It was okay and I didn't hate it, so I didn't put it at 2. 3.5 is good. It's fine. I read it. I really enjoyed it, but it just wasn't anything special. 4 is really amazing. Enjoyed it. Would definitely recommend, and it was a really good read. 4.5 is like good tier. It's superior and it's amazing and I just want to relive the experience all again. But 5 is like above all else majestic book that I had nothing wrong with it. 5 is perfect and I've only given 2 books 5 stars, even though my favourite books have been 4.5. But 5 stars doesn't just factor in my enjoyment, it also factors in if objectively it's a good writing style. So yeah, that's how I rate my books. A TV show or film that has done a book justice. The only thing that has done something justice yet is Daisy Jones and the Six. Now Harry Potter has not done many things justice. Ginny's character is like a big thing that they didn't include Charlie Weasley. I think that they have done the Weasleys injustice, and so therefore I cannot put it on this list. But Daisy Jones and the Six honestly was better than I expected it to be, because honestly you just never know with book adaptations. But Daisy Jones and the Six TV show was just as good as the book, but the book was better. And there's still some things missed out, but I just really think it did it justice. Adjectives that attract me to a book. Must read, enjoyable, and let me introduce you to my friend Malibu Rising, which honestly has the biggest amount of quotes for things. So you got also heartbreaking sometimes is amazing. Unapologetically escapist. If summer could somehow fit into a book. When people say that. Impossible not to love. Exhilarating. Loved every minute. Delight. Deliciously decadent. Immensely enjoyable. Enjoyable and entertaining. Hugely enjoyable, yeah. Glamorous. Saying that you don't want the book to end. Really like thing. Gorgeous. Intoxicating. That's a really good word. If a book is intoxicating, I will stray towards it. Sometimes heartbreaking. sometimes other things, but generally like the positive ones really get me, especially if they're really immersive. I just really love immersive books. How and when did I discover reading? I discovered reading when I started reading Harry Potter, but I really discovered reading when I started reading Cinderella is Dead. It's probably the first proper book I read, though I did read this after having read in class, but I think that there was something in me that just suddenly realised I wanted to read, I wanted to escape more than just Harry Potter, and I think this was the book that broke it for me, that broke the Harry Potter trend. So yeah, honestly, how and when? In year 8, reading Cinderella is Dead. Are your parents readers? My dad isn't really a reader other than like a beer writer and reader. My mum is a reader and so is my nan. I think that's where I got it from, but my nan's from my dad, so I don't really know. Maybe it skipped a generation, but my mum is a reader. She generally reads on the Kindle, I don't, but she's a reader and maybe that's where I got it from, but I'm much bigger reader than her probably, but she's probably read more books in her life than I have. Do you read memoirs or non-fiction? As I said like twice in this video, I don't really, but I want to, so that's definitely something. Do you write reviews, and is it easier to write reviews for something that you hate or you love? I do write book reviews, and sometimes I'm more motivated to do it than other times, but it's probably easier to rant about something that you're passionate about. For me though, personally, it's easier to write about something that you passionately hate other than passionately love, because when I love something there are just no words to describe it, but when I hate something I can explicitly tell you. But I've never had to hate a book, but I hate other things, so I'm easily ranting about those. But that's just an opinion. What's a subgenre that you gravitate towards, aka me? Romantic comedies, romantic fantasies. I just gravitate towards romance in general, so that there are like subcategories. There is kind of like harsh love or easy love, and I will go for the easy love, I must tell you. Here's a little superlative break. Best short book I've read is Nick and Charlie, the novella, because I haven't read many other short books, and that was a really great one. The most unique book I've read is probably I Fell in Love with Hope, because I haven't heard many people at all talk about it. But I guess it's the most unique in storylines as well. The most lovable book that I have read is probably Red, White, Royal Blue and Heartstopper. People love those books, and generally. The best debut novel is probably Cinderella is Dead. I don't know if it's a debut novel, but I only know 2 other books that came out after I read this book. So I think this is the starter off. And that's, if I knew Taylor Jenkins Reid's starter, I think it was actually Malibu Rising. I could discover this now. If we're gonna go through the quick round and just completely throw it out the window, let's be honest. 2022. Wait. Carrie Soto is Back is the new one. This was published in 2021. But in a different thing. So this specific copy, so this is quite new actually. 2013. Jesus. This was ages ago. This was 2017. 2014. So right now, Forever Interrupted is the oldest. I don't feel Daisy Jones and the Six is old. This is 2019. I don't know, maybe in another life, but I don't think that's the debut. No, I feel like Forever Interrupted is the first one. They're in order. Oh, okay. Okay, so the debut novel of Taylor Jenkins Reid I have not read yet, so I cannot judge, unfortunately. But yeah, Cinderella is Dead, pretty much. Most likely to become a classic. Here's this one that is older than I expected it to be. The Secret History, published in 1992. It even says truly deserving of the accolade modern classic, but I feel like this will be one of those books that turns into a classic. I don't imagine much of the other books I like being classics because they just don't have that kind of book energy to them, but this is a classic in itself, let's be honest. So, most likely to break your heart, all your perfects, or it ends with us. You take your pick. It will break your heart into 7 pieces, and then you'll create Horcruxes, like some kind of Mateo riddle. No, Mateo riddle. What am I talking about? Tell me. Honestly, people have confused me. That was the end of the superlative. There we go. Now we're doing a speed run of something. Okay. Find a book with the person on the cover. Basically, all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's book have people on the covers. 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is my personal favourite, along with Daisy Jones and 6. Find a book character that you relate to. Now, we have got Alid from Radio Silence. I already talked about this, but he's just a really relatable character in terms of discovering identity, struggling through anxiety, but ultimately he has friends and he discovers himself. That is really amazing. A book that people thought were good, but that wasn't just for you. I think people thought that Six of Crows, I don't know if that's controversial, but like, I personally, it's just not my kind of book. But I know that people liked it, and honestly, I can understand why people like it. It just wasn't for me. A book with alternating POVs. It Starts With Us has alternating POVs, as well as basically every book. No, Malibu Rising, I think. No, because there's a difference between having this is different, alternating years. Well, I guess that is an alternating POV. Alternating POV, but I'm gonna find something that had Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo has alternating POVs because it has Monique Grant, and then it also has the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, like 7 Husbands POV, kind of like Evelyn POV kind of thing. Do I read other media? I read magazines barely, but I read comic books, and obviously Heartstopper is like other media if you think about it. Comic books and manga. My feelings on ambitious endings is that it really hit or miss. You can either perform a really good ambiguous ending that leaves me thrilling, or when that just, you built so much up, and like it's like after the third, after, no, it's the fourth, I don't even know. One of the after movies really built up something that never happened and left it onto the last movie, but it depends, but mostly I'm okay with them. Have I ever read a book in my area? England, yes. A lot of Alice Osman books. But no, not really. My area is too unknown. But I'm sure there are books, but I've never read them. They're probably like non-fiction books, so to be honest with you. Books that are usually polarizing to other people that you're still like kind of neutral about. Again, probably have to use Six of Crows. People are like in love and like worshipping it, and I'm just neutral about it, really. Have I ever had a reading slump? And as I mentioned before, I have. It's really easy to get into them, and so I think this is like a really easy topic to talk about. Do I choose to read books according to season? Not consciously. So maybe in bookshops they put out books of certain seasons, but I don't base books on the seasons. However, I don't think I've ever had the opportunity to. I've never really read books based on Christmas, but I guess sometimes, in summer I will kind of like try to find books with the same kind of aesthetic, but I don't weather, I mood read, so, and I buy most of my TBR and don't have to, but yeah. My favourite book that is getting a film adaptation is Red, White and Blue, but I really did like Daisy Jones and 6 adaptation, but this is one that's getting one that I really like. How much do you remember of what you read? Honestly, not a lot, but I remember the important parts and the shocking parts and the parts that I like. And I'm not one of those people that annotates. I obviously don't remember as much as I could, I guess, but there are just the moments that count that I really remember. Now we're doing the hot seat. Do you come from a family of readers? Yes, half of my family is, half of mine is not. My brother is not a reader. I don't ever skip while I read, because if I ever felt the need to skip, I would put the book down. My least favourite booktok book is probably Six of Crows. My least favourite type of booktok vid is when people debate about characters just in a way that is more than just talking and obsessing over characters. It's kind of like another level, and I don't really like those kind of videos as much. My bookish goals are to read a lot more than I already do and get faster. Obviously, I think there's like an unrealistic bookish goal to finish my TBR before I buy any books, but let's be honest, who does? How many videos are in my drafts? 10, and honestly, I don't really keep drafts all that much. I keep drafts for monthly transitions, and really on TikTok, I say I'm on booktok, but let's be honest, I'm not like that much of a booktoker. I'm kind of like a mixed kind of person, so I don't really have so many drafts. As many people do have loads of drafts, I don't. I minimally, probably normally have 3. What makes a good or what makes a bad book? I feel like I'm going to talk about this in a more positive way. A good book has good plot with good characters, and characters that some characters that you hate, some characters that you like, but really the story has its plot and a good plot, and plot twists really help as well. Just having like interesting something to hook the reader, because sometimes people can have really good writing skills but nothing to hook the reader with. And yeah, so that's what makes a good book. A good book has the structure, and it has the shock, and it has the excitement and stuff, the roller coaster of emotions. How could I diversify my reading? Probably need to branch out to different authors. I'm very much liking my comfort zone where I only read authors that I know. I could be more experimental. I could try to read from a male author, because I never have. I don't think, not knowingly. Yeah, but I could diversify my authors first. But I do have LGBTQ and women, so I'm kind of crossed off half the list. My bookshelf is organised in 2 things. I have like these 2 floating shelves above my bed where I put all of my favourite books, all my newest books, the books I want to display and be on display. Then I have my actual bookshelf that I got from my brother, and I put that on the side of my bedroom. It has like loads of knickknacks on it as well, not just books. The first row is kind of like Harry Potter and fantasy themes and some other books, and I tend to put the books that I don't want people seeing to the sides a bit more, because that bookshelf really isn't a book. Like, I need to like have a new room or something. Then the second row is my rainbow row, my like books that fit the aesthetic of Alice Osman, and it has other knickknacks as well. The third row is the last row of books, and then the fourth row is just like a bunch of piles of stuff. But the third row has some books that just meh, and you don't really see them because they're eye level with my bed, and some of my music, Taylor Swift albums and stuff like that. Then I have this big corner thing above my bed that's like stuck to the wall. When I was younger, I had teddy bears in there, but now I have books. They're kind of arranged in 3 piles on each thing, but because it's a triangle, it's really awkward. So there's one facing this way, one like that way, one like that way, and this is not good for my books because I feel like the area is damp, but I have nowhere else to put them. And I have a few books that I really don't care about on my bed, but I really match them on aesthetic and likelihood of going to read or look at. Yeah. The perfect physical book form is a paperback, because if hardbacks didn't have the jackets on them, I would love them a lot more, but I really have feelings about jackets. Small books are really much easier to read, so these kind of books are perfect, though there is more to say about it can be bent and stuff like that, but the perfect book form is something that you can have in your hands. Also more colourful is me. Do I judge a book by its cover? Yes, but I don't judge it solely by its cover. When I'm going into a bookshop, I look for authors and titles that I know. So really, I judge it first on the title. If I don't like the sound of the title, then I won't want to look at the cover and I won't want to look at the blurb. But most of the time, yeah. And then I look at the blurb as well as admiring the cover. And if the cover's not great, I will still look at the blurb anyway, but usually covers that aren't great don't have good blurbs. Just facts. I'll look at the blurb and then I'll look at the actual inside pages to see what kind of style the page is. So you'll see how that links in a bit. But read a page or two. So I do judge a book by its cover, but I think the important lesson is I don't judge a book solely by its cover. I will only buy it if I like all aspects of it that I can check before actually reading the book. The lesson is, in life, don't judge people by their what they look like, because appearance shouldn't be the only thing that matters. But for books, I think it's a little less harmless, and I will still look at all the books in my preferred genre section anyway. So, but yeah, I kind of do, and I don't think there's any shame in it. Were there any books that were different than expected? I really didn't expect All Your Perfects to be so heartbreaking, even though I kind of read the blurb. I just didn't expect it to be that mentally draining and emotionally draining. It says, do you wish you could read every day? I do wish I could read every day. That would be in an idealistic world where life doesn't happen. I wish I had the routine to be able to do that. A cover that I dislike, I don't really like the English version of the Carrie So to His Back because the American one looks so cooler. I'm so happy that we're getting a paperback version of this because my jacket is like really, but I really hate jackets. And it's all like crimpled at the top. But I'm really happy, and I really like the American one better. But I do like the colour and the feel, so it's not too bad. A book with a character that you despised. Now I think everyone who's read it, and it ends with us, please hate Ryle because he's not supposed to be likable. He's not sympathetic. He's an abuser. And he's really toxic, and I really don't like him. I really wish he didn't exist. A book that I couldn't put down is probably Malibu Rising. It was such an interesting story, and it was kind of like so fun. Also, All Your Perfects, the story was captivating. So this or that. Happy ending or ambiguous ending. I am a sucker for a happy ending, but not a fantasy happy ending. But most of the time I will settle for a happy-ish ending over an ambiguous cliffhanger. Reading or listening to books. Reading all the way. I like to imagine things in my own head, and listening removes an aspect of that. Reading at home or reading in nature. Reading at home because I don't trust myself outside. I don't really feel at peace outside. Maybe I need to get a better back garden, but really I just can't. I just read in home, in the comfort of home. Reading in a cafe or reading at home. I prefer to read at home, cozy up, but I really would like to experience that in the future where I can read in a cafe, because I have never tried it. Again, I don't trust myself, like quiz and all that. Reading a new book or rereading a favourite. I would rather read a new book, because as much as rereading a book that I really like I just want to feel new experiences over re-experiencing old ones. Clean or annotated pages. I don't annotate books because honestly, if I annotated books, it's like I'm in an English lesson, mate. Maybe if I were to start annotating, I wouldn't physically write on the book because I guarantee I would ruin the page. Maybe I would invest in buying copies specifically to annotate, but my OCD won't let me annotate pages. Buying or borrowing books. Buying because I like having physical books is better than having one from the library. I know some people like read library books and then if they like it really, they will buy it. I buy books and I read them, so that's just how it is. Sci-fi versus fantasy. Fantasy all the way. It's not that I have dislike sci-fi, it's just I really prefer fantasy worlds. I think it's better. Deckled or flat edges. I don't think I've ever read a book with deckled edges, but I prefer flat edges. Mood versus TBR. I read books on my TBR, but I base them off of mood, if that makes any sense. I'll buy books and I'll put them on my TBR, but I will be in a certain mood to read a certain book on my TBR. And generally, unless I buy a book that I absolutely know that I want to read, but really it's mood, but it's from my TBR, if that makes sense. Contemporary versus classic. I prefer contemporary, but good classic books are amazing. Silence versus noise. See, the thing is that a lot of people can't read with music on. I can. I find that if I read with music on, I can kind of relate it to the book and have like a different aspect of the book. But at the same time, silence is helpful because it doesn't have I don't have it in a monologue if I have like a voice. If there's noise, in silence it's easier. But I feel like music helps me read in mood style. So overall, I would choose noise, because noise can be soothing. You can put on a soothing playlist, but I know some people just can't listen to music while they read. So all of the prompts have finished, and this video is going to be well over an hour, so I'm very sorry. But I do want to show you 2 things that I got in a stationery store in Italy. First thing is, it's this little, it was like really, really reduced. It's a 2023 bookmark calendar. It's actually in English, even though it was sold in Italy. Essentially, the reason it was reduced is because it's not the middle, but it's like it's nearly halfway through the year, so it's not like a new thing anymore. But essentially, every month, so this is January, they have a little perforated edge. I mean, this is even perforated itself, and this is the actual bookmark. It's like thick cardstock, but thicker than cardstock. It has the little month, and then you tear off the bookmark. I'm skeptical to tear off the bookmark. So the first one says, I've always imagined that paradise will be a kind of library. This is from Legami. Books let you travel without moving your feet. And I really like that saying. March. Reading is dreaming with your eyes wide open, and it has little stars and rainbows on it. May is my favourite, I'm just saying. Let me get April. April, you will see something again. So many books, so little time, with a little hourglass. That is really cute. May is my favourite. Dinosaurs didn't read. Now they're extinct. Coincidence? Honestly, facts. This is the way to get someone to read. June is books are yoga for the mind. I don't really like the design, but I like the saying. It's the design. Some people might like that. Oh, July's is amazing. Love is a book and a light to read it by. August is reading opens infinite possibilities. I like the rainbow. Legami is really good. They have really cool stationery stuff. Read to live, live to read. And then it has a bunch of stacks of books. That's a good September, honestly. October is when in doubt, to the library. Or go to the library. Whatever. Totally said the same thing. November's is books lovers never go to bed alone. Which is so true, because I have all my books looking at me. December's is really great. Let's get lost in a world made of books, coffee, and rainy days. And amen, sister, I tell you. Amen. Now I perforated all of them. But this was something that I really cool, and I was very glad to stumble upon. The thing is, a tote bag. Now I told you that in April, you're going to see something familiar. This is a tote bag. And it's actually good quality as well. So many books, so little time, on top of a book stack. So cute. But that was interesting video. I hope you liked it. Let me know if you want something more like this. I've decided to do my podcast on revision and not like another video on revision, because I feel like, I guess it is better to do videos than I could have talked about, but to be honest with you, might not even end up doing the podcast episode and do it a bit later. I don't know, but I need to do a lot of editing on this video for every single time I coughed, because my sore throat is acting up so much, I can tell you that. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this video and all this book talk discussion. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I hope that I can inspire some people to read. But now, let's get on to the intro. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you made it to the end, I very much appreciate you. Give this video a like if you haven't, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you're a returning person on this channel, you're amazing. Amazing, thank you. Let me know other types of videos you want to see, and everything I talked about that can have a link has been linked down in the description box below, as long as all my social medias and links to my social business and my podcast. So I hope that you have an amazing day and that you enjoyed this video. and I'll see you another time for another wacky video. This is Arlo signing out. Peace.